Okay, I think it's a good time to get started now. So welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on elevating your Helix dashboards with Insight Finder. We're going to be covering two sessions this week. So we're doing the APAC India session today, and then we will also be covering EMEA and US on Thursday. So if you do have any colleagues that are based in those regions, if you share the same invite you did to register, they will also be able to attend the second session. Joining me today is Nikhil Deshpande, our Principal Product Manager, and we also have Ankita, who's going to be running the session hopefully on Thursday, and also Taran, who is going to be helping in the Q&A and any of the other questions that come live towards the end. Nikhil, if you can move to the agenda so I can just go through what we're going to cover today. So today we're going to be covering the welcome and introduction, understanding Insight Finder, how Insight Finder transforms raw data into actionable insights, use case walkthrough with a demo, and then we've also got integration with Helix GPT, then the actual live demo, and then following will be the Q&A, which we'll also take live so we can speak to you directly. Before I hand over to Nikhil to start off with the introduction, just a reminder that there is the Q&A section of Zoom. You will find that at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, keep it interactive. We have Ankita and Taran that will answer your questions during the session, and then we'll have roughly around 15 minutes at the end where we'll go to the live Q&A. So Nikhil, with that, I'm going to hand over to you to get us started.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. And good morning. Good morning and good afternoon to all our participants for this webinar today. I'm Nikhil Deshpande. I'm the product manager for Helix Dashboards, and I'm excited to be here to present this webinar on Helix GPT Insight Finder. We have been investing in BMC Helix GPT solutions for several months now, and we are seeing it come to fruition now with what we have done in the past two releases. And it's not just Insight Finder, but across the entire suite of BMC Helix GPT solutions, you'll see the innovations that BMC Helix is bringing to you to transform how your service and operations team work together to drive innovation and customer service. I'm joined by my colleagues Ankita and Tarun on this webinar. So with that, let's get started. So this is what we're going to cover in this webinar. We'll give you a high-level overview of the Helix GPT agentic AI strategy. We'll talk about Insight Finder. There will be a demo of real-world use cases that you'll come across in various domains within service management, specifically ITSM. There's also a call to action. We are going to be scheduling some workshops to help you configure Insight Finder better. All of that coming up in this webinar. So let's start with the big picture. Helix GPT Insight Finder is part of BMC Helix Service Ops, which is our agentic AI platform, which is designed to bring together AI, generative AI, and automation to drive intelligent service operations. This is not just about dashboards. It's more than that. It's about enabling every persona in your organization to ask questions, get answers, and take action. All of this without needing to be an expert data analyst. The Helix GPT AI Fabric leverages agentic AI to deliver a fully connected end-to-end service ops conversational experience. It enhances the user experience by allowing employees to ask questions such as, what is my company's vacation policy? And it provides real-time summaries to help answer these questions. For example, it can explain that for agents as well as site reliability engineers, it can explain that a banking application is slow due to a network switch dropping packets. By analyzing historical incidents, knowledge base articles, situational data, and everything else, all the data that Helix GPT has access to, it can recommend the best course of action using predefined workbooks or workflows that are automated. And these automations can either be executed manually or autonomously for self healing. If there is an automation, then Helix GPT creates remediation plans. It can also create code, workflows, dashboards. All of that can be done to accelerate resolution. Leveraging historical data and projecting into the future, Helix GPT can also predict future issues such as recurring network failures, which always seem to be happening at a specific day of the month. By integrating AI-driven automation and predictive intelligence, Helix GPT transforms service ops, thereby reducing manual toil and enhancing operational efficiencies. BMC Helix is the only open-first agentic AI platform for service ops that unlocks human potential to increase productivity. It is built for service organizations, operations organizations, as well as IT leaders. And we know that these leaders always need to manage service performance across complex and ever changing IT landscapes. And all of this needs to be done with constrained budgets and team sizes. BMC Helix arms IT organizations with a fleet of AI agents across service ops in an easy to scale architecture and lower the total cost of ownership. And it frees up enterprise IT to tackle high impact and high value work. And this is key for IT organizations today. Our agentic AI solutions eliminate the mundane tasks that IT organizations are often burdened with. Also, it it's also important to note that this is available as a containerized platform, and the deployment can either be on a cloud of your choice or on premise. This helps you improve efficiency and lower costs so that you can bring your own AI. If you have your own uh, subscriptions to large language models, we allow you to do that, whether it's OpenAI or Google Gemini or others. And this allows you to take advantage of your existing subscriptions and use them for Helix GPT. So by maximizing value from your cloud and your AI investments, BMC Helix makes it easy for you to bring your own AI and bring your own data approach. Now, it helps organizations to work within your environments and within the user interface of your choice. So, if some of your users prefer to work within their user interfaces of their choice, such as Teams or Copilot, we allow our solutions to be used across these interfaces. Finally, it's key to note that BMC Helix has an open, flexible architecture that delivers measurable productivity gains. And this helps you realize value from your investments in Helix GPT. With that, now let's come to Helix GPT Insight Finder. So, what is Insight Finder? It is an AI agent that can generate dashboards from BMC Helix ITSM and our AIOps solutions. All of this based on simple natural language prompts. The good news is, if you're a SaaS customer, then you don't need to purchase any additional licenses to be entitled to use Insight Finder. This is part of your existing subscription. Insight Finder simplifies and accelerates the process of creating dashboards. It also improves the quality of insights available from data. Remember that when your service managers, operations manager rely on other data analysts, they may not have a complete picture of what data is available to them. But when they roll up their sleeves and they start deriving these insights themselves, they're able to do that much more efficiently and they have a complete view of what data is available to them. But the problem is that service and operations managers struggle to get data. Firstly, they're busy. There's always they always have tactical needs of information. There are always continual service improvement projects in progress. There are stringent service level agreements of customers to meet. There are stringent requirements of customer satisfaction. And in order to do that, in order to run IT operations and the service desk in an efficient way, there's also a notion of bringing in governance. You need to make sure that the IT organization aligns with the corporate policy framework to ensure that everything is in line with the recognized governance framework. Now, all of this leaves IT managers, operations managers with little time to understand how to use a dashboarding tool. This is precisely where Insight Finder can help. It can allow people who know the underlying data to be able to efficiently generate dashboards with stunning visualizations, all of this within a very short period of time. You can generate dashboards with natural language prompts, no need to write code, no need to learn how to use the Helix Dashboards tool, all of this with just simple natural language prompt. You can not just generate dashboards, but you can analyze data, complex data, all of this through natural language prompts. And you can proactively do this in a very efficient way, summarize the data, and so on. So the first use case in Insight Finder is to be able to generate dashboards with natural language prompts. As I said, managers have to rely on data analysts to be able to do this. But we know that most service managers, operations managers are intimately familiar with the underlying data. They just don't have the skills to write SQL, or they're too busy to do it themselves. The outcome from Insight Finder are they can generate easy to understand dashboards, all of this automatically using natural language prompts. They can also make it easier to share this information with others, and they can interact conversationally. We understand that generating dashboards isn't just a single activity. It's so often iterative, is that in that you start building a dashboard, then you iterate several times by engaging other stakeholders, sharing that data. And because of that, it tends to be very complex to do this through the traditional interface. Insight Finder goes beyond just generating dashboards. We can also use the power of large language models to recommend prompts. You can ask Insight Finder how to analyze your incidents data or problems or your changes and so on. And because Insight Finder understands the underlying schema of our various products, it's able to generate intelligent prompts which show its capabilities, understanding of the underlying schema. One important outcome of this is that human thinking often tends to have biases on how you analyze data. When you rely on AI, it removes these biases so that you have an objective view of every possible way you can analyze your data. So that your data analysts, your service managers, your operations managers spend less time on finding data and building dashboards and more time analyzing data and taking corrective action. So these, just one thing to note about the dependency on versions. You need to be on version 25.2 of service management to be able to take advantage of incident, problem, and changes. So these are the three areas where Insight Finder works in 25.2. And in 25.3, we have added some more areas like asset, CMDB, service level management, and digital workplace. We have also introduced the ability to use Insight Finder with events, metrics, and vulnerability resolver. With that, we are now ready to start our demo. So let's look at some real world use cases. We are going to focus on some ITSM use cases for Insight Finder. So you launch Insight Finder from the sidebar. So let's start with a few prompts from incident management. So we'll start with a breakdown of incidents on the basis of status. I've given a recommendation of how I want to see the visualization, a pie chart. I can even skip this visualization, or I can rely so that I can rely on the model to determine what's the best way to visualize this data. One thing to note is that because we are relying on a large language model, we cannot always predict how the model will respond to. So sometimes you may notice that it returns data in a certain visualization. At other times, it does not. So the more context you provide, the better the model is able to respond to your requests. Okay, this had to happen. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'll start by asking for a breakdown of incidents by status. I could have skipped that recommendation of the visualization. Here we go. So we see the visualization of a breakdown of incidents by status. I can also say, show this data as bar chart. We didn't specify a specific order, but if you would like to view this data in a specific order, we can do that. We can say order by descending order. Notice that these prompts, these follow-up prompts are iterative. So we didn't have to repeat the original prompt, which is breakdown of incidents by status. So we progressively started with a pie chart, we changed to a bar chart, we provided a sort order, which is a descending order. If I want to see this as in the order of the status values, I can do that also. So instead of the counts, if I want to see it in the order of the status values, that also is possible. There you go. Okay. So this was our just a simple prompt on a breakdown of incidents by status. Oftentimes, when you're dealing with issues, when you're dealing with any issue that requires you to pull data, you often need to go down to the details. So I'm now going to enter a prompt to pull incident details along with work log details. And I want this for critical priority incidents. Okay. I can skip this condition of critical priority. I can just run it without, or if I know for sure that I'm just looking for critical priority incidents, I can do that right in the first prompt. Okay, I made a mistake. I should have clicked on new panel. Yeah, I realized the mistake. When you're changing the context, remember the first prompt was about a breakdown of incidents by status. As long as your follow prompts are within the same context, we can go on iteratively refreshing the same dashboard with additional follow-up prompts. But when you're satisfied with the result, when you're ready to move on to the next context, you need to click on start a new topic, which I just clicked, and then enter your next prompt. Right. Now, we did not specify the details of what columns we wanted, and we relied on Insight Finder to determine which columns to display in this table. So now we also did not specify the visualization, but when we are asking for details, we ask for incident details, work log details. So based on this, Insight Finder then knows that the best way, or really the only way to show detailed information, is a table. So it chooses a table visualization to return the data. Now, we see some important columns, but I don't find urgency and impact. Okay. I want to add urgency and impact. So I can say, and are there any details that I don't want here? Let's say, no, okay, let's keep this. Add urgency and impact. So it's added these columns, urgency and impact. Okay, so this is, you can go on across incidents, problems, and changes to generate these such panels. Let me show you now something else in terms of the capabilities of Insight Finder. The first use case was generating dashboards, which you've just seen. Now let's look at the ability of Insight Finder to generate prompts for further analysis. So I can ask for some recommendations to help analyze incident management. So I'm asking Insight Finder to tell me how to analyze incident management. So far, all previous prompts were about a specific ask of what data I want to see. But in here, I'm just asking an open-ended prompt. I've asked for help on how to analyze incident management. Because Insight Finder understands the underlying schema of incidents, it's able to show us different ways of analyzing incident management. So these are all the prompts it's generated. What's the average time to acknowledge incidents over the last 30 days? What's the average time to resolve incidents over the last 30 days? And so on. Okay, so this is one way of generating prompts. Now, let me just take a screenshot of these prompts, and I'll show you in a moment why I'm doing that. Okay. Now, I will ask Insight Finder to analyze data in a different way. Okay. I say, show incident management trends. Now look at the kind of prompts that are generated. What's the trend of incident resolution times over the last quarter broken down by assigned group? Okay, and so on. So all of these prompts are about trends. So this one is a trend over quarter. This one is a trend over the past year for all incidents reported via email. So these are different ways you can analyze incident, but specific to trends. And when you say trend, there's a notion of analyzing data over time. Okay, just for comparison, I'll show you the previous prompt. When we asked for help me analyze incident management, these are the prompts that were generated. And here we see a different kind of response based on our what we asked for. Let's do a third one. Okay. Now we ask for ways of analyzing incident data by priority. Yeah. So these are the various ways in which you can analyze incident data based on priority. Calculate the average resolution time for incidents broken down by priority, distribution of incident statuses across different priority levels, and so on. So these are different ways in which you can analyze incident data. Likewise, you can then, once you're satisfied with your, you can, of course, you can click on these prompts to see the responses, but in the interest of time, we can, let's move on to some other areas. Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on to change management. I just want to know how many changes were created in the past 1 month. Because the nature of the question was how many, the response needs to be a number. And Insight Finder determines that the best visualization to display a number is a what's called a stat panel. So that's what it has displayed. It's just displayed as the count of changes that meet this condition, the past 1 month. Okay. Likewise, we can also analyze, we can generate prompts for change management. That's possible. Let me show you a different kind of prompt. Show count of risky changes. So there's, on change records, there's an attribute called risk level. And based on that, I want to analyze data on the basis of that risk level. But Insight Finder probably didn't fully understand my question. What do you mean by risky changes? So that's what it has asked. Which field in change management schema defines the risk level of a change? Or what criteria should I use to determine if a change is risky? So I'll say I want to see risky changes based on risk level. Let's see if it is able to help as a response to this prompt. Yeah. So on the basis of risk level, it has now generated this visualization of changes at different risk levels. So it generated a pie chart of change requests based on a risk level. Now you can go on adding conditions. So you can only say show only changes submitted in the past 1 month. There you go. Now let's see if we can further analyze it. You can have some further prompts to qualify this or to further filter out certain data. Let's say show only records for high risk levels. Okay. So I've qualitatively qualified risk levels as high. Okay, let's see if it understands what I mean by high, and it has. Remember, there are 5 risk levels. Now it's determined that 4 and 5 are high risk levels, and it has given me records just for those two. It also changed the visualization from a bar chart to a table. But this is the nature of large language models that you don't, if you specify that you want the visualization to be maintained, you can do that. Otherwise, it can change the visualization. I can, if I wanted to see it as a bar chart, you can always enter a follow prompt to show as a bar chart. There you go. Now, there's something more we have introduced in version 25.3, which is you can go across different ticket types. So you can enter a prompt in 25.2, you could only query on incidents or only problems, only changes. But we know that these different ticket types can be related to one another. What if you wanted to report of incidents related to changes? So let's enter a prompt like that. Show me a count of changes submitted this month associated with incidents submitted in the past 3 months. Okay. So how many changes did we submit recently in the past 1 month that were related in some way to incidents in the past 3 months? So we know this is a very common ask. You want to report across incidents and changes. Okay, here we don't have data, but if you just look at the query, we have introduced the ability to view the SQL query. You can look at that. So it pulls data from CHG infrastructure change with a join on the associations, the change associations. And based on that, these are the conditions. You're looking for infrastructure changes in the last 3 months. So anyone who understands SQL will understand where this data is coming from. If you're not getting the data that you're looking for, you can always look up the database query to know where how this SQL is being created. You can only view the query. You cannot modify the database query, but there is an ability you can always copy to clipboard. And if you want to run this, if you have access to the database, you can run the query on the database and see if the result is consistent. So these are the different ways you can pull data across incidents changes. In 25.3, we have also introduced a few more areas like asset management. So let's enter a query on assets, count of assets by status. There. So you want to see it as a show as a table. We can see that. Here we go. So this is about assets. You can also run queries on digital workplace. Let's run a prompt on digital workplace. Counter service requests by service name. Okay, we seem to have an issue here with digital workplace. Okay, never mind. What else can we see? Okay, let me show you something on problems. How long do problems take to resolve for every status? Okay, so it's given us the average resolution time. If you view the query, this is this is what it shows you as how it has calculated average time to resolve. Okay, let's do one more. So the expected time to resolve problems for each status. Yep. So here it is. It has returned a clarification question. It understands the schema, but it's not sure. Insight Finder is not sure to how to make this calculation. Should I use submit date and target resolution date? So we can do that. We can provide some way of calculating. Okay. Should the expected time to resolve problem for each status based on the date difference between submit date and target resolution date. Now, in its schema, it understands submit date and target resolution date, and Insight Finder is able to then make this calculation. You can verify the query, how it has calculated the time to resolve. Okay, with that, let's go back to our slides. So these are the different personas who can benefit from Insight Finder. The business service owner, the change manager, the services manager, the IT operations lead, and all of them have different needs of tactical data at all times. With Insight Finder, all of these personas are able to get faster time to insight. There's a reduced dependency on any technical specialists or data analysts. These teams can self-serve and they prefer to do that. And all of this, the outcome is better service outcomes for your customers. So these are the key takeaways for all of these personas. The business service owner, the change manager, the service desk manager, as well as the IT operations leads. All right, just a few more things to note. Prerequisites. You should be familiar with Helix dashboards, although you don't need to understand how to write SQL, but it still helps to be familiar with the Helix dashboards when you're using Insight Finder. You also need to update to a recent version of Insight Finder. So platform common services, which includes dashboards, you need to be on version 25.2 or above. And service management, which includes ITSM and DWP, you need to be there also. You need to be on version 25.2 or above. You need to have an active subscription to some large language model. And these are the models we support. With 25.2, we supported GPT-4o as our OpenAI GPT-4o, and in 25.3, we have extended that support to Gemini hosted on Vertex as well. will continue to update to newer models and newer versions of these models. So we are aware both OpenAI and Gemini are coming up with newer versions of these models. Will continue to support these uh, models in future versions, as well as whatever large language models broadly Helix GPT supports will extend support to those as well. So one call to action for all participants is to attend a workshop. We are going to schedule a few workshops where we will we will deep dive into how to configure Helix GPT Insight Finder. We want to show you how easy it is. So as long as you fulfill the prerequisites, you can attend this workshop where you'll be able to configure Insight Finder hands-on. The whatever little configuration is required, we will guide you on how to do that configuration. So this entire workshop is split into four parts: the initial configuration, what exactly is Insight Finder, how to use it. We'll also share some best practices of prompts, because you need to go through this learning curve of using Insight Finder, and then how to adopt it in your daily operations. So all of these things will be covered in this workshop. This is hands-on. This is not just a demo. So you will need to come prepared with, you need to have at least your dev environment, a dev or QA environment, which is on the supported versions. And these are the supported versions: 25.2 of service management, 25.2 of platform common services. If you're interested in joining this workshop, please reach out to success@bmc.com, and they'll be sure to include you in these workshops. We'll be scheduling several workshops over the coming months. So even if you miss one, you will have an opportunity to join the next workshop. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over back to Sam.
Thanks, Nikhil. And obviously, we'll be going into the Q&A very shortly. And I've seen a lot of questions come in. Thank you to those that have already kept our panelists very busy. So just a reminder, we've just finished actually the Mumbai roadshow that was last week. Hopefully, we may have seen a few of you there. We have got Melbourne coming up on Thursday, hence why we're running today's session on Tuesday and not Thursday, so we can give you the opportunity to do both. And we've also got our next one that will be coming up will be Stockholm. So again, just remember these dates. If you've got colleagues, these will be sent out via different communications for everyone to sign up. This is the opportunity also to meet a lot of our leadership. So whether it's product managers or it's the sales leaders, if you can get to one of these locations over the next coming months, we'd love to see you there. So now moving over to the Q&A, if you can just switch over to the next slide. As mentioned, we've kept our team very busy. So Nikhil, I'll go to some of the questions that we've got now. And I can see we've got a few that's been answered. So the first one I can see still in the Q&A is, can you show changes where scheduled implementation dates do not match actual implementation dates? And I think Ankita was going to answer that one, or you can answer that one as well.
Okay, Ankita is responding to that. Let's go on to the next one. But yes, we can do that.
Yes, we can. Yes, of course.
Okay, so next question was, do we need to do it manually or it will save automatically? I'm assuming it's connected to the previous one. So I don't know if you want to just summarize
I
that,
can respond.
Ankita, or yourself.
I can respond. You can you will need to save a dashboard. So all these dashboards that are panels that are created, there is an option to save the dashboard on the UI, and it will be saved along. You'll have an option to provide the name and the folder where to save the dashboard. Next one is, can we add custom filters? Not sure what you mean by custom filters, but your filters are created based on your natural language prompts. So depending on how you articulate your requirement, the filters will be added automatically.
And then Copilot was the next one, I think. So are there any plans for Copilot integrations?
Yes, that is being evaluated. The first one outside of the Helix dashboards interface, the first interface that we are working towards is Microsoft Teams. So Ops Swarmer is our agent that allows you to use Helix GPT across different use cases of Helix GPT from a Microsoft Teams interface. We will look at Copilot in the future.
Okay. And next question was from Radhika. Will the usage of Insight Finder incur transactional usage cost or additional cost to the customer?
I can take that. To use Insight Finder or any other agentic AI solution, you need to bring your own large language model. So you'll need to have a subscription to Azure OpenAI GPT or Gemini. So there is a cost associated with these subscriptions. Okay, but you need to purchase this subscription. We allow you to take advantage of these subscriptions in using Insight Finder.
Radhika, I have taken you off mute if you would like to ask anything further. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next question. Can you hear us? Okay, next question with Susie Brown was, do you manage through Helix GPT Manager to configure?
That's correct. Helix GPT Manager, which is going to be renamed to Helix GPT Agent Studio shortly. That's what you will use to configure your model as well as to configure Insight Finder.
Susie, if you want to ask anything further, feel free to also come off mute. Okay, we'll move on to the next question from Nurul. How Helix GPT Insight Finder queries use and calculate LLM usage? For example, Helix GPT agent in ITSM based on number of tokens consumed, input, output.
Yes, good question. This is a roadmap item. We are aware that customers want to know the token usage in Helix GPT, and we are working towards providing that capability on our roadmap.
Okay. Next question from Nehal was also, can you create variables using Helix GPT Insight Finder?
Not yet. However, this is a roadmap item so that you can create variables and provide those values at runtime. Yes, we are aware of this use case, and we will deliver it as a roadmap item.
Great, thank you. And then there's another follow-on from, I think, the previous questions. I'm not sure who's asked these ones, but they're asking about custom fields and also if there's any documentation available for this.
Yes, you can introduce custom fields. So remember, Insight Finder can query based on its understanding of the schema. If you have custom fields in ITSM, then you need to make Insight Finder aware of what customizations you have. And to do that, you will need to enhance the schema. If you're familiar with Visual Query Builder, that's the visual editor that is used to design the schema. You can, for example, if you have custom fields on incidents, you can enhance the incident management view, create your own custom copy, and add your custom fields in that using Reporting Metadata Studio. So this is a client, a Windows client that can be used to add customizations of your schema. And once you do that, Insight Finder allows you to take advantage of your custom fields. So that's how you can bring your custom fields here.
Great, thank you, Nicole. Okay, that's all our questions that were unanswered. We should have hopefully answered them all. If there's any other questions, feel free to either come off mute or put your questions in the Q&A. We've got roughly about 5 minutes left. While we're doing so, I just want to give the opportunity for Ankita and Taran, who's been helping answer all those questions, if there's anything else that you wanted to add, any other thoughts and additions to what Nikhil's shared today.
Yeah, Sam, I think there have been many questions on the thing that just Nikhil answered on custom fields. I think people are really interested in querying the custom fields because probably there's a lot of enhancements that do for business. So I think that's one of the things that how maybe that's something, Nikhil, we can
Yes,
have some kind of community blog or a video that how we can do it for everyone who has participated here, or maybe include that as part of our next webinar. I don't know. And
sure.
there is a question on also which LLM, whether it's just Azure, OpenAI, GPT-4o, and Gemini, or can they also used can they also connect other LLMs as well?
Yeah.
Is that
So,
yeah.
yeah, in the short term, the support is in 25.3, support is for Azure, OpenAI, and Gemini. In the future, we will expand to other models. So, one model that we will support in the future will be Llama, and
Hmm.
others, uh, as and when Helix GPT starts supporting other models, we will extend support to Insight Finder as well. So a few other models are under consideration, uh, but we just can't answer for sure which of these we will have on our roadmap. But one thing is sure, we will certainly expand the scope of models and will always align with the latest versions of those models. So even Gemini and Azure OpenAI keep coming up with newer models every few months. We will
Yeah,
continually upgrade to provide support for the latest models from all of the major vendors.
super. Um, I'm
Okay.
really happy that there are 65 questions that we
I
have
know.
Yes.
answered. I'm just trying to people are looking into like custom fields. I'm looking at questions like for how can we do this, configuration related questions. But I think I'd encourage everyone to write at success@bmc.com because we are gonna have working sessions scheduled later this month or next month to help you in configuration of Insights Finder. There are also question around, Nikhil, I don't know if you know whether the self-guided demos that we have available, do they have Insights Finder configured for people to try? Maybe that's something we need to look
Yes, we
into
need
as
to do
well.
that. Yes.
Yeah, as a trial environment. So that's something, action for us.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and there are questions, really interesting questions like, aging analysis and getting to know, drilling down like what exactly is causing the aging.
Hmm.
I haven't tried it myself, but that's something that
Yeah.
even I would be
Good
interested in
question.
seeing. Yeah,
Good
it's
question.
great.
So these are roadmap items. So as I said,
Yeah,
summarization of dashboard results, recommending what action should you take to on aging incidents. These are things that are on a roadmap, and these are higher maturity use cases. We need to go
yeah,
step by step. We're doing that. We are expanding our scope to different areas of AIOps and ITSM. So we'll definitely cover those: service level management, release management, work orders, tasks, knowledge management. There's several areas that we need to cover. And then we need to graduate up the maturity scale, provide higher value use cases such as summarization or best action recommendation. We will get to those. These are interesting use cases, and we will deliver these in future releases.
yeah. And
Uh,
I
just
tried
to
it
add on,
personally.
yeah, just to add
Yes.
on what Nikhil was saying, that if you go to that level of summarization, that's a very kind of a medium complexity report. So in order to reach there, start by giving a regular prompt like create my incident, create on the incident group by priority. So by this you can increase your level of prompt. It may not be able to summarize everything what you want to, but you'll have a standard report created for you, which you can save it, and by editing it, your work will be reduced to around 70%. And then you can just simply put on your filters or group by conditions if you are well versed with the SQL. So that will ease out your use case of writing the dashboard query. So that will help you in writing it effectively and in a lesser time.
Yeah.
Nikhil, I have myself tried it for a few demos. I tried it using the agentic chat in ITSM to do the same thing.
Yep.
So that worked really well for me. So people who are interested in trying that out, I would encourage you to try out agentic chat in Smart IT.
Yes.
The aging analysis, recommended actions, because it just works flawlessly, I think.
Great.
So
Absolutely. So that's a good point. Remember, a smart IT can also answer these questions, many of these questions through a text interface. It just cannot bring you visualizations, which is the value that dashboards brings, that you want to visualize dashboards in bar charts, pie charts, time series, pie chart, and so on. Dashboards is the tool for visualization, but basic queries on data, you will be able to do it from smart IT as well through agentic chat.
We've got two more questions and then we'll close. I can see there was another further question that came in about what about custom LLMs?
I'm not sure I understand the question about custom LLMs. So to our support, we will support the most popular LLMs. Custom LLMs, I'm not sure at this time if we'll support those.
Okay, and then one final question. Insight Finder as an AI agent, are you able to invoke it from Innovation Studio workflows instead of opening UI to type a prompt?
Not yet, but that's a good question. In the future, we will look at these use cases where Insight Finder can be invoked from other applications. That's a great question.